1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, and Amazon. The Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. If you'd like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Welcome to episode 23 as we wrap up our journey here, talking about my cancer. We talked about finding out I'm cancer-free and I'm going home. And what I came home to. I came home to a wife that had completely freaked out because of me losing my job and getting fired and selling things, who also wanted to divorce me, a child who had no idea what was coming up, an uncertain future, and medical bills. But I did have 2 interviews that were coming up. I was cancer-free, and I was kind of looking forward to my future possibly with a young woman who it was assumed that I was sleeping around with, which I wasn't. And because of that situation, we bonded even closer together, or so I thought. So one of the things I needed to do was, number one, take care of returning my equipment to my former employer. So that was like one of the first things I did. And I remember walking in, the first person I saw was the owner, who turned white as a ghost and ran for their life to their office. The people who I knew, who supported me, and who I thought were at least friendly to me, they all scattered like everyone scattered. Because they realized how shitty a move it was to fire somebody while they're going through fucking cancer treatment. And the president came up all jolly and, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? I'm like, fuck you, man, dude. You don't fucking care. Because if you fucking cared, you wouldn't have fired me while I was in the fucking hospital. Let me just get my stuff and get out of here. Here's all your stuff. Shirts, everything. Well, we don't need them. I go, I don't want them in my life. Like you didn't want me here. So I don't even care if you fucking burn them. And I grabbed my shit. Told everybody to kiss my fucking ass. And went home. Sticking my middle finger out the window as I drove home. I did hear, at least from the owner once. Well, I didn't hear from him. He called and didn't answer because he heard me. He thought the phone that he called was one of their phones. And I told him, I go, you don't even have the courage to even just say, oops, I called you by accident. How you doing? I hope you're okay. I'm glad the cancer's gone. Not even that. You don't have the courage to do that. You friggin' coward. The next time you call me, I'm coming to your house and I'm going to kick your fucking face in. Or I'm going to come to that job of yours. You fucking coward. That was the last time I did hear from him, though. So it was good riddance. And I had 2 interviews. One was one that I really thought I was more than qualified for. Another one, the guy just called me there to talk shit about me and my resume. Which, that was a pleasant experience. Just nitpick. Why were you here? Why were you here? You don't know what you want. I go, well, I can tell you one thing I don't want is to work here and work for you. You've made that evidently clear. Thank you for wasting my time. Obviously, you have enough free time to just go and minimalize and belittle people. I can only imagine how successful your business is. Thank you for a great day. Bye-bye. The other one I thought was a shoo-in, but turned out not. And it was for the best. Because one of the things that happened from my old job is, number one, I will say this about that old job. They did get hold or keep me on the insurance from when they fired me April 1st until till they said July. What I didn't know was that I was going to continue to get paid until the end of June. Because they told me I had 2 weeks of severance. And then I go to the mailbox and find a check. And 2 weeks later, I find another check. And so on and so forth. So I got paid up until the end of June. So what I thought was going to be a very, very financially stressful situation turned out not to be. So I'm grateful for that. That's karma working its magic. This also was a time when I started walking the beach. From going up on a rooftop parking lot and looking at the sunrise, to sitting on a park bench, to sitting on the stairwells down to the beach, to walking the beaches. It was 2020, and sometimes the beaches were closed, and I would be the only feet on the beach. This was also a time when the Sahara dust, for those of you who live in Florida, the Sahara dust, which was at its peak, and there was amazing sunrises, and turtle nesting was at its peak, and I got to see loggerheads and leatherbacks and greenbacks, and I saw them beaching. I saw them going back in the water. I saw nests pop open from the sand. But I got the time to spend with God on these walks. And I'd have my audio, my YouTube motivational pieces, from Dr. Dwyer and Louise Hay and Eric Thomas and, all these great speakers that would be flooding me with these positive thoughts and affirmations, and then I would say them as well. And it was a great time of healing. One thing that wasn't healing in my body was my right lung. It still had fluid, and so what we had to do is perform what they call a pleurodethis. And what a pleurodethis is they take your lung and your lung wall, they put talc in between it, and they fill your lung with air, so there's no air, there's no space between your lung and the lung wall, and it helps reduce the fluid that's in there. Well, one of the issues I had was the insurance. And I was supposed to have a caregiver who was supposed to help drain it during this process. And insurance was all over the place. So what did I do? Instead of waiting for insurance, I did what I always did. And I went to YouTube. And I actually found a video from the company that made the bottles that I was using to drain. And I watched the video a few times, got the kit out, opened it up, and did it myself. And when I finally did it, I finally got a call from the nurse saying, yeah, we're going to be able to take care of this. And she was amazed and surprised when she came and saw that I'd done it myself, which was pretty cool, personal victory for me. So I was living with this tube in my body. And I was determined that once this is done, I was going to have that, as well as the port that was up in my chest was going to be gone. And so I was excited about that. And I was also excited about getting to Pennsylvania. As I talked about earlier, there was a situation with my ex who was my wife at the time, who believed I was having an affair with a woman who lived in Pennsylvania while we lived in Florida. Because of that silliness, it actually brought her and I together, and to the point where she was divorcing, I was getting a divorce, and all of our friends were like, "Guys, you guys got to get together. Like, enough is enough." And I thought that's what would have been the case, and I would have been really happy with that. But it wasn't. It wasn't. She was dating a white version of me. Same name. So, close but no cigar. And was it hurting? Did it hurt? Yeah, it kind of hurt. Kind of sucked. It hurt both in several different ways. When I was going to fly up there, I was going to stay with a friend, and my friends didn't feel comfortable because, again, we're in COVID. It's a hot spot, and they were worried about their kid. And, don't worry about me with cancer who could die and get COVID. But it was at that point, nobody knew what was going on. So did it hurt at the moment? Yeah, it did. But you know what? It was okay, because that's just what happened. And, I went up and spent some time with some other friends. But the girl avoided me. And then I come to find out later that she was dating someone. That's the reason why. She couldn't even be honest with it. I found out when her sister and her sister's husband came and told me. And at that point, I just cut off ties and moved forward. I didn't have any time to waste. I wasted 20 some odd years. And to think that we had an opportunity to do it, and it didn't really mean that much to her. So I appreciate her, because she was one of my whys, and one of the reasons that got me through, along with my son, was to, have a relationship with this woman. But it was what it was. So we moved on and we moved forward. And I was just being excited and blessed with being able to get on that trip, coming to find an opportunity to work remotely, which was absolutely fantastic, which led me into an actual other job, which is at a place where I kind of currently work now. I also got my divorce papers as well. That all happened in July of 2020. But things were good. I was concerned about future monies and how we were going to separate things and how I was going to take care of things. And when she left, she just took a table, a piano, and some Christmas ornaments, and everything else was left. And she left. And we were to split time with the boy, which we did. And at the end of August, I was blessed with a financial donation that helped me pay my bills. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the next episode. But right now, you're listening to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason. You can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. If you would like to contribute and be a part of this podcast, you can email us at catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to episode 23, We'll see you on episode 24. Go be great.